I'm Larry Fedoruk, and this is I Was 8, my personal journal storytelling podcast about growing up in the small Canadian prairie town of Waukau, Saskatchewan. Be sure to join me again next week for the I Was 8 holiday special. But now, onward and downward with this week's story.
Season 4, Chapter 10, The Sliding Hill.
Think the great Canadian prairie, specifically Saskatchewan, mid-province, small town. Probably not a lot of good spots for tobogganing. Why would any kid in flat Saskatchewan have a toboggan or a sled? Time for a geography class, kids. Larry, would you care to share your report first?
Yes, thank you. My dad says that in Saskatchewan you can watch your dog run away for 3 days. If you stand on a chair, you can see Alberta. We've had the same car for 8 years, and not once has Dad ever used the parking brake. Why, it's so flat.
All right, Larry, thank you. Sit down. I got an F on that report. Thanks a lot, Pops. Note to self, that's the last time Dad helps you with homework. Yeah, we all heard those jokes about how flat it is. It's mostly true, but it can be magnificent. There's an old saying, it's always been one of my favorites. Sometimes the eye needs to see as far as it can see to remind the soul how far it can wander. That was Saskatchewan to me as a kid. Flat, big sky, staring out into forever. On the other hand, there were hills. We had hills. Foothills, some called them. As Dad said, they're called foothills because you don't need special equipment to climb them. You can just go on foot.
Yes, interesting, Father. Thank you. You won't mind if I check multiple sources on the validity of that piece of information, would you?
Both my parents' family homesteads were in hilly parts of the province, not too far from our small flat town of Waukau. When we lived near my mom's family homestead, I could run across the road, take a toboggan ride right down this hill to my Uncle Joe's farm, run across his yard, and take another hill down into a little valley. Then I could run back up, stopping into my Uncle Joe's house for some hot cocoa, run back up to my road and do the double run again. And sometimes stopping again at my own personal tobogganing chalet.
Thank you, Auntie Bernice. Yes, I'll have some extra marshmallows this time. May I say I love your chalet. I'm enjoying the amenities.
Once we moved into town, the tobogganing was limited. Most of us kids used the term sliding, because if you had a sled, it wasn't tobogganing, and if you had a toboggan, it wasn't really sledding. Well, you get the need for a generic term. We came up with sliding. We did most of our sliding in town at the Sliding Hill. The Sliding Hill was not built for sliding, nor was it really a hill. It was really just a bump on the noggin, small mound of dirt, seeded with grass in the summer, on top of which sat a small gazebo-like structure which housed a statue of Saint Teresa. The Sliding Hill was at the rear of St. Teresa's Roman Catholic Church, across the street from our school. By the way, I'm not sure which St. Teresa the church was named after. We were Catholic, but we belonged to the Ukrainian Catholic Church down the street, so I didn't learn the history. I know there's at least a half a dozen St. Teresas, not including St. Mother Teresa, recently inducted. Multiple St. Teresas. I'm sure roll call at the St. Dormitory in heaven is very confusing. I'll bet they get each other's mail all the time. So one of them was who the church was named after, and there was her likeness in stone as we climbed to the top of the hill for the short slide down. The hill and surrounding yard were used for special Catholic outdoor masses and gatherings in the warmer months. But when the snow and ice formed, it was our sliding hill. As I said, it was a mere bump. The ride down was short, but on the other hand, it was only about 10 or 12 kid steps to get back to the top. So, though you didn't get a long slide, you made up for it by repetition. many slides. The interesting thing is that if you had a sled or toboggan, you almost never brought it to the sliding hill, mostly because it was too small. An actual sled or toboggan would be overkill, and also because we mostly played on the hill after school. So you would have had to bring your sled or toboggan to school in the morning, park it all day in the kid toboggan parking lot. Well, you can see it's just too much of a hassle. You're asking, if you didn't have a sled or toboggan, what did you slide down the sliding hill on? Well, the answer is just about anything else. Once again, enter into the life of a kid the highly valued cardboard box. Flattened out, or just a part of it, and your piece of cardboard was your magic carpet ride down the sliding hill. I remember when they first started selling those plastic sliding carpets at the toy store. How much is that, $10? For gosh sake, just get a piece of cardboard. You want to buy a sliding carpet? No, I don't, but do you have the box they came in? Most of us kids just used a piece of cardboard. Banana box was the best because it had these big holes in it you could use as handles to hold on to. I also wondered if God glanced down at our town occasionally, from his drone view, and just saw dozens of kids climbing the slippery slope up to St. Teresa as if on some mini kid pilgrimage. And he smiled and nodded to himself. Ah, yes, look at those pious tots climbing the mount to the feet of St. Teresa. The indoctrination is working. After a while, and with dozens of kids sliding down on banana boxes, the hill got really icy and slippery. You didn't even need cardboard. If you had good snow pants, you could just slide down on your ass, or assume the crouching position and pretend ski down the hill just standing in your boots. Even though I appreciated a good banana box, I had a better way. I had a school bag, an imitation leather, genuine plastic school bag, with pouches on one side, a carrying handle, and a shoulder strap. I know, what a geek. I carried my school books and papers in there on piano lesson days, my piano books. I would sit on the pouch side, better grip. The smooth side was slippery and perfect for sliding. I'd use the shoulder strap as reins to steer. And shush down the hill, what a ride! I discovered that the more books it had in it, the better it was for sliding. So sometimes after school, I'd just pack it full of textbooks. The teacher would see me and say, I wish everyone had an interest in learning as much as you, Larry. You love your books, don't you? Well, keep it up. You're going places. Yes, I am, sir. Right to the top of the sliding hill. As a result, however, during sliding season, many of my books and homework got filled with snow, which I would dump out in the sink as soon as I got home, and then spread out the rest near the space heater to dry. Many of my assignment sheets were handed in slightly wrinkled. Good work again, Larry, but why are most of your papers wrinkled? Nothing. Good question, yes. Not sure. Faulty paper manufacturing, perhaps? They don't make things like they used to, that's what my dad says. The sliding hill was mainly an after-school activity, but one winter Saturday, a few of us were bored, so we rounded up some cardboard and headed over. I wanted to bring my school bag full of books. Boy, that Larry, what a studious young man, even taking his school books with him out to play on a Saturday. He's a boy genius. Well, I only got that bag in the fall, and it was already pretty beat up. Parents were getting suspicious, so I went with a piece of banana box. The sliding hill was icy and fast that day, but still, after a while, it just kind of felt same old, same old. We didn't know what we were going to do next, until little Ernie Coops said, why don't we build a little ski jump at the bottom? Wow, Ernie, you never have any good ideas. Congratulations, let's do it. Down we went and started piling up the snow at the bottom, fashioning it into a jump. By our calculations, if you hit the jump just right, got some air, you would land softly in the snow in the ditch by the road. We kept bringing more and more snow, packing it down, until we thought we had a good enough jump. This thing is solid. We went back up to the top and wondered who should try it first. Boy, this is a good idea. I guess we didn't notice behind us the statue of St. Teresa, frowning in disapproval. Just then, Beefy McElrod shows up. Hey fellas, what's up? Hey Beefy. Oh, by the way, everyone called him Beefy. When he first moved to town, we thought it was a nickname, except during school roll call, it was Durwood Duncan, here. Larry Fedoric, here. Beefy McElrod, here. One day, I stopped to talk to him in his yard. His parents came on the stoop and said, Hey Beefy, who's your new friend? Everyone called him Beefy. All right. So we filled Beefy in on the jump construction, and he had this piece of cardboard he had just picked up in the alley behind Scarlett's grocery store. It just said fresh produce, but it was a really dark brown cardboard and had this waxy coating on it. Let me try the jump first, he said. This weird cardboard feels like it could really fly. Yeah, okay, why not? He sat down on the cardboard about a foot from the top of the hill, positioning himself, getting ready. We held on to him. When he was set, we pulled him back and all gave him the biggest push we could. Wow, it was like he was shot out of a cannon. All he had to do was hit the jump. Left, lean left, you're gonna miss it. He must have heard us because he was back on track. Would he hit the jump? Would the jump hold? Would he get air? Would Beefy make it? For part 2 of this episode, tune in again next week. Just kidding. Beefy hit the jump dead center. Bless you, Beefy. And he got air. Oh, he got air. He cleared the snowy ditch. And most of the road before hitting hard and rolling into the ditch on the other side. Jaws dropped. We just stood there and stared. The wind blew his fresh produce cardboard a few yards down the road, and then there was nothing. No motion of any kind. We had killed Beefy McElrod. Huh. Well, this was a new one. We should probably all just go home right now before we get into more trouble. No one will speak of this ever again. Not even to each other. Jump? What jump? We didn't build no jump. Suddenly, we saw a little red mitten pop up and wave back and forth. We got down as fast as we could, ran across the road. Beefy, you okay? I think I broke my leg, he said, and part of my head. We sort of helped him up to the side of the road, and when he saw his fresh produce box blowing away, he started running after it. Well, I guess his leg's okay. Yeah, how about his head? Well, I don't think that was right to begin with. Yeah, true enough. Hey, do you want to do the jump next? No, maybe tomorrow. I think my homework is almost dry. I better get back to the house and do it. Beefy lived. Perhaps St. Teresa was watching out for him. That's why she is the patron saint of tobogganing. No, she's not. And he just got lucky. Beefy was likely saved by his own beefiness. By the way, years later in high school, one day, Beefy says, "My real name is Broderick. I now want to be called Broderick." Yeah, sure thing. Beefy, see you in geography class. By the way, today's lesson, if you stand on top of the sliding hill, you can see Alberta.
I was 8. is a weekly storytelling podcast written, produced, and voiced by Larry Fedoruk. A new episode every Thursday on all major platforms or Larry's I Was 8 YouTube channel. Tell a friend about his podcast and reach out to Larry Fedoruk, that's Fedoruk, at larryfedoruk37@gmail.com.